Welcome, Commanders, to this map series at Tutorials. It is a fact of life that he who is more prepared for a situation will inevitably come out better than he who is not prepared for the same situation. What this means in game is, subcom maps, there are certain quirks and things to them that a new player, if you meet them for the first time, will fall flat in his face on doing. There are things you need to know, and there are other things that might not be immediately obvious, and instead of being like some of us who spend their time watching replays or stalking them if you're someone like Tixie, and basically learning tricks from replays and from other people who've realized certain things, I'm just going to try and compile them from the get-go so you don't have to do the arduous tasks. So this series, going through maps one episode at a time, they'll go through the same sort of structure. So I'll be going through suggested opening builds and why, weaknesses of said builds, the meta of the map, the reclaim points of the map, points of interest of the map, and quirks of the map. This will become evident after the first episode, but this being the first episode, I thought let's start with Regor VI Highlands, because this is a fairly common and, well, fairly popular 1 versus 1 map. So, starting with opening builds. You have your 4 core mexes and you have your Hydra within build distance of ACU. Most people therefore go for a Hydra build. It's relatively simple. You can put your land factory wherever, but you can get 4 factories with dual adjacency to mexes, so try and exploit that, and you should. Most people on this map will go second air, and in fact if you're new to the game, you should probably do that as well. Second air, first scout to scout the bomber, because bombers can be very strong on this map. There are a lot of spread out expansions, namely here, or here. Other things that can happen, you might choose to go for labs, because some people keep their commander in the base to build and send engineers to grab the expansion points, and the lab can deny that quite handily. Other points of interest? Let's see, the meta of the map, your ACU will go to the furthest expansion. ACU being the strongest unit you have early on in the game, is used to secure the most vulnerable areas of the map. This is nothing too concerning or new. Whether you go for heavy land or eco, it depends on your playstyle, but you can support most people build 5 land factories and air factory just based on these mexes here, and then they try to control the mid or various areas of the map. The reclaim points of the map are as follows. Again, if you press Ctrl Shift and bring it up yourself, early on there are 3 areas of conflict, and some people like to send engineer to steal reclaim. Since the meta is you go in a clockwise direction, this is considered bottom players reclaim, this is considered top players reclaim. As such, some people will send an early engineer to steal that mass, but it can be countered again by scouting, bombers, early tank, etc. But it's a risk. All risk carries reward, or reward carries risk. The point of contention are these 2 obsidian wrecks. I believe these are obsidian wrecks. Maybe not. But anyway, there are 2 chunks of mass in the middle where, as you see, close to 300 mass each, which is a fairly significant amount early game. So some people, instead of sending the ACU across here, will go to the middle just to secure that. But early fights in the mid can dictate the rest of the pace of the game, whether you're defensive or whether you can be more aggressive. Other reclaim points of note, you have the 3 large rocks within relatively easy proximity of your base. And then along the sides you also have many smaller rocks as well, which can also add up quite significantly. Other quirks of the map. The busiest areas are the mid, because controlling the mid gives access to, well, multiple fronts. You have your expansions. And then you also have these 2 ponds in the middle, which basically means to go from point A to point B, you have various options. You can, for instance, simply choose to go through the water if you're amphibious. You can go through the middle, but that's not often always the case because they'll try to fight for it, or you can simply drop. Other areas of interest of the map, do not forget your hydros. These can often bail you out. These two mexes here, often a PD will save you, and especially will defend against amphibious assaults. These are also ponds, so it means if you're under pressure, building some amphibious tanks, going across here, it's far faster than going through the land route. In addition, this is not an island. You can walk here with engineers, etc. You can walk there with commander, does not need to be dropped. Speaking of drops, the only areas of the map which require dropping are these two extremely high plateaus on either side. And these are useful to take, because if you get both of them, that's you have 2 max advantage just like that with your opponent. You can place radar of them, and you have, if you read the intel tutorial, you then have good intel of whatever goes through this choke point. And then of course you want to defend it with AA and a PD to make sure it doesn't get dropped as well. This plateau up here carries a fairly significant amount of your mass. 3, it will add up if you don't take it. Same with this one. It is worth noting that this plateau can be distance built. However, this plateau, because of the trees, cannot be distance built, I believe. We can test that out again, but if we attempt to do so, it will generally cry and say no. Oh wait, no, you can. I learned something as well. The difference is, no wait, it can be distance built, but most people don't do this for the simple reason that this is 3 mexes. You probably want to defend it more than just building a factory purely for the sake of having a mex. You can build it and then control K once you're done with engineer, but I have never seen anyone distance build this plateau for some reason or another. And I believe that the next thing I should be talking about are general strategies on the map. Most people will go for heavy Tech 1 land spam. Early Tech 2 is possible, but due to how vulnerable these expansions are, a lot of people decide not to do that. And indeed, most games on this map involve a commander moving here, 5 factory spamming land in the middle, and some poultry raiding to the side. So you can go gun com through the middle, but because of the mass available, you are therefore vulnerable to snipes. Most people will choose the easy route and just go for a Tech 2 commander and push mid. The usage of TMLs. This map is not uncommon, but in order to effectively hit any of these, you need to secure the middle. So if no one is in the middle, you generally worry less about TMLs. The problem is, and I've seen this done before, is it is not that hard to place a TML from your furthest expansion to threaten the main base, and therefore it is advisable to build TMD anyway. As for these back mexes, if you build a TML on the ridge somehow, you still can't really get to the back mexes. And also, if you try to build TML here, you cannot actually hit them because this ridge is too high. The usage in this game, or this map, of Tech 2 Air versus Tech 2 Land, most people will go for Tech 2 Land because it's generally easy to spam up some Tech 1 AA and you defend most of your main expansions. But Tech 2 Air can be effective, just due to how spread out everything is, these ridges, for etc. Other things to watch out for. Most people, instead of distance building, will drop instead, just because you then have a transport to drop these anyway, and it's also faster. What most people do with regards to securing this expansion is simply to get a scout and a few artillery pieces, attack move the artillery pieces, and then all of this will disappear. You get a nice reclaim, and you cannot actually claim these 3 mexes until you clear out those PD. And I believe that is all we should talk about for this particular map. If I missed anything, or you feel I'm wrong about any certain regards, please leave something in the comment, and if it is significant enough, I will simply redo the video. My name is Regor Pride. Enjoy.